Now his science has reached every corner of the world. Go to any country, there you find a yoga center. And the people are taking a deep interest in a yoga philosophy as well as a yoga practice. Because this yoga enriches the mind and strengthens the mind so that we become able to face all kinds of situations, problems, solve problems. Modern mind, modern life is very active, dynamic. Take any field. Great works are being done. Scientific field, social field, economic field, industrial, agricultural, educational, any field. Work is being done. Hard work is being done. New discoveries are being done. Thousands and thousands of people are working day and night to make those fields rich. And because of this hard work, strain is created. Pressure is there. We have to work, but without pressure. That is what the modern man is willing to have. And here is a yoga discipline which teaches him the method of keeping the mind calm in the face of ups and downs of life. We have to work. We need not retire from the world, from working, hard work, but without disturbance, without stress and strain. This is an effective method that Patanjali gave. Therefore, whole the world is attracted by it, is practicing it and taking deep interest. This is the great contribution of India to the whole world. And it is Patanjali who has done this miracle. People are belonging to different religions, but Patanjali is dear to every person. He may belong to any religion because he appeals to the spiritual aspect of man, spiritual face of man. You can become a yogi, and at the same time you may be a Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian or a Buddha or a Jaina, whatever. It doesn't matter much. What matters is the evolution of the mind. What matters is the enrichment of the mind. Mind is to be rich. Mind is to be strong. Unless the mind becomes strong and rich, it is impossible to live joyfully in this world. And you cannot accomplish great achievements in life. Therefore, yoga is acceptable to everyone. And here Patanjali gives detailed account of methods and also the achievements of yoga. The very purpose of yoga is to make our mind calm and experience silence. There is much difference between silence and calmness. These are the two goals of yoga. A yogi attains these two states, the calmness and silence. What is calmness? What is silence? Usually we think they are having the same meaning, but they have not. They are not. Calmness is different and silence is different. According to yoga, calmness is a state of the mind, balanced state of the mind, undisturbed state of the mind. In the mind, thoughts arise, feelings arise, desires arise, memories also may come up to the surface of the mind. With all these thoughts and feelings, mind is to remain undisturbed. This is the calmness of the mind. Means the mind is not without thoughts and feelings. Thoughts are there. Feelings come on the surface in the mind. But still mind remains undisturbed. It is not affected by any thought that rises in the mind. For example, here is a flower. I look at the flower. It is very beautiful, fragrant, full of nectar. I look at it. The thought of the flower arises in the mind. With this thought in the mind, I have to experience the thought but not get disturbed. Means I should not experience attraction or repulsion for the flower. Not being attached, not being repulsive. I should not either hate or love the flower. I just experience it calmly, not disturbed. Many thoughts may arise in the mind. Still, I have to remain undisturbed. This state of the mind is called calmness. Silence is different. Silence means no thought at all in the mind. The mind is free from all thoughts. No thought is arising in the mind. It is waveless. Mind is completely waveless. Means the mind is empty now, without thoughts. This state is called silence. This is samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi, silence. Undisturbed state it is calmness. Mind is to be calm, and we should experience the silence as well. Deep silence, perfect silence, divine silence, in which we can experience our own existence. That is silence. These are the two states which we attain through the practice of yoga. Through the practice of yoga. Because of these great achievements, man can dream of attaining perfection. In a way, attaining perfection means he has to feel with the entire cosmos. This is what we have to expect from the practice of yoga. In the first chapter or quarter of Yoga Sutra, Patanjali gives the description of the first achievement, that is silence. How to attain silence. Yogaha chitta vritti nirodhaha. Vritti means a thought. Chitta vritti means thoughts that rise in the mind. Nirodha means quietening it. Quieten the mind or still the mind. Make it waveless. Make it thoughtless. No thought. Just mind is shant. Peaceful. Silence. Basaveshwara, a great saint and seer of the 12th century, a mystic as well, the lover of mankind, the lover of nature, who lived a wonderful life. All his life worked. All his life he loved the people and treated them. He was very dear to everyone who approached him. And he was a great philosopher as well. He says in one of his verse saying, ಘನದೊಳಗಿನ ಘನಕ್ಕೆ ಘನವಾಗಿರುತ್ತೇನಯ್ಯ. ಘನ ಗಂಭೀರ ಘನದೊಳಗಿನ ಘನಕ್ಕೆ ಘನವಾಗಿರ್ತೇನಯ್ಯ. ಕೂಡಲ ಸಂಗಮ ದೇವನೆಂಬ ಬೆಳಗಿನೊಳಗೆ ಬೆಳಗಾಗಿದ್ದೇನೆಂಬ ಶಬ್ದ ಮುಗ್ಧವಾದುದನು ಏನೆಂಬೆನಯ್ಯ. He says he attains the state of silence. This is the state of silence. When Basaveshwara attains the state of silence, he is one with the infinite. And he gives the description of that state, of his experience. Wonderful experience it was. Basaveshwara says, I have become one with that which is partless. Ghana, partless. This flower is with parts. It is made of parts. It is an assemblage of parts. It is not partless. It can be divided. But a God is that which is partless. He gives the definition of a God as partless, ghana, indivisible reality, immeasurable reality. This is God. In his vision, this is God. In his opinion, this is the God. Means it cannot be limited, illimitable reality. Einstein, a great scientist of the 20th century. And he was a great cosmologist. He looked deep into the reality of the world. And he says, in the same words, he uses the same words. He says, there is something which is illimitable. And this world is having limitations. It is limited. This world is limited, and whatever is there in this world is quite limited. Take any object. It may be body, it may be mind, it may be intelligence, whatever it may be, it is divided. It can be divided. It is with parts, made up parts. It is limited in a time or by time. It is limited by space. Every object in this world is limited. Even space and time have their limitations, he said. But there is something in the world as the support of it, as the permeator of it, and that something is illimitable. And that illimitable reality is called God, according to Einstein. The same thing Basaveshwara said, God is illimitable. Illimitable apramanaha, apratimaha, illimitable. And this God I experienced. Ghanadolagina ghanakke ghana. I experienced how I gave up my limitations, the thought of my limitations. Means this very feeling itself is my limitation. When I say I, means I am not you. You are different. I am different. This table is different. Myself is different. We are all different because there is an I. If this I is removed from the mind, what remains? If the I is removed from the mind, what remains? Means a limiting adjunct is gone. Limiting quality is given up. When the limiting adjunct is given up, renounced, illimitable reality we experience. In the same way, Basaveshwara experienced the illimitable reality. He says, when I entered into this deep truth, this great reality, limitless reality, what happened to me? I became silent. I became silent. There is no I. There is no God. There is no world. There is simply an existence, illimitable existence. This is the state of mind. This is called silence. Patanjali aims at attaining this silence. Unless we attain this state of silence, we cannot become, we can't become having the sense of a fulfillment. Life is there to experience this idea, this reality. We are here to experience whatever is there in this world eternally. And once we attain this eternity, then we experience peace of mind. The unaffected peace of mind, never disturbed peace of mind. This is the goal of yoga. These are the two things, calmness and silence. Now, he says, there are two parts of yoga. The first part aims at attaining the calmness of the mind, and the second part aims at attaining the silence of the mind. And the second part, attaining the silence of the mind, is very difficult. Therefore, the first part is needed. This is called primary yoga. The second one is called higher yoga. Unless we practice the primary yoga, it is very difficult to attain the higher yoga. Because yoga simply means ordinary mind is to be lifted to ordinary mind, ordinary consciousness. From the ordinary consciousness, we have to go to the supreme consciousness. It is a great journey. Yoga is a great journey. From the ordinary state of the mind to the silent state of the mind. That is the journey, great journey. And if it is to be achieved, then we must be prepared mentally. And this yoga prepares mentally. And this yoga we are going to study during these 2 weeks. We are meeting in the early morning at 6:30. Probably it is a very exhilarating period in the morning, isn't it? Very, very enlivening, beautiful. The atmosphere is so full of beauty in the morning, so comfortable. We have to experience it. Satsanga doesn't mean just having knowledge increased, but it is to experiencing the atmosphere, calmness. And Patanjala's second quarter begins with a description of the primary yoga, preparatory yoga. It is called preparatory yoga. He says it is Kriya Yoga. Tapaha Swadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga means yoga attained through works, working towards yoga. Work towards yoga. We have to live in such a way that we attain yoga. Active yoga. It is active. We should not be, yoga doesn't mean just sitting, not doing anything, not thinking, not seeing, not doing anything with our body. This is not yoga. Work itself helps us to reach the yoga, that state of silence. How? What is to be done? He is going to explain it in the first aphorism of the second quarter of Patanjala Darshan. Now begins Kriya Yoga. Kriya, without Kriya we can't live in the world. Life itself means Kriya. Can you think of a person having no Kriya? Can you think of anything in this world which doesn't do any Kriya? Whether it is a living or a non-living being, it does something. For example, this table is a non-living thing. Still it is doing something. There is a Kriya in it. There is a Kriya in it, action in it. This action is movement. Every object is moving in this world. There is not a single object in the world, whether it is small or big, that does not move. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatutishtatya karma. Karyate havashaha karma sarvaha prakriti jaihi gunaihi. Said Bhagavad Gita. There is no object. Take an atom or a galaxy. What is happening in them? Atom is not taking rest. It is not in a restful state. It is always moving. Electrons, protons, neutrons, the nucleus, everything is in motion. Motion. Kriya. In the same way, living beings also are doing something. Though you are sitting, the mind is working. The body is working internally. My hands may not be working, but inside my hand, if the hand is to be alive, there must be something going on inside the hand. The whole body is at work. Therefore, without work, we can't live in the world. We have to work, whether we wish or not, we have to work. And this work is to be utilized for the attainment of yoga. That is Kriya Yoga. That is Kriya Yoga, active yoga. And what are the limbs of Kriya Yoga? What are the parts of Kriya Yoga? Patanjali said it is a threefold. It is threefold. Tapasvadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana. Tapaha, Swadhyaya and Ishvara Pranidhana. These are the three parts of primary and preparatory yoga. What is tapas? What is tapas? You know the meaning of tapas. Everybody says that tapas means taking trouble, tolerating. Come whatever may, we have to face them. Or doing, not eating, not drinking, sitting in the sun, surrounded by fire. These are some of the ideas of tapas. But here Patanjali means something. Tapa means keeping our mind and senses under control. Yukta hara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapnavabodhasya, yogaha bhavati dukkhaha. Yukta ahara viharasya. This is tapas. Means we have to eat, but not too much. Not too little. We have to eat moderately. Restraining is tapas. Restraining, this is tapas. Not eating, not too much eating. Both these extremes are to be avoided. It is more difficult. It is easy to do away with food. We can live without eating food. But eating moderately is more difficult than not eating food. Therefore, Patanjali says, be restrained. Be moderate in whatever you do. Yukta ahara, vihara, recreation also. Recreation means entertainment. That also must be within limits. Very moderate. Sit and see that you don't see too much. You don't see too little. Just see the world and not to be disturbed by whatever you see. This is a restraining of the mind, restraining of the sense organs. We have to use the sense organs, but at the same time we should see that they don't go beyond certain limits. Lakshmana Resha. Very difficult it is. Yukta ahara viharasya. Yukta cheshtasya karmasu. You have to work, not too much. Day and night, not to work. We have to work more. Yukta ahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. You have to sleep, not to do away with sleeping. You have to sleep, but not too much. Nor should you stop sleeping. Not to sleep. Not to sleep. You have to sleep, but moderately. And lastly, he says, you must be awake, but not always. Not always. Not 24 hours. You have to sleep. You have to be wakeful, but moderately. This is called tapas. This is tapas. All the food is there on your table, dining table. All the food is there. And we have to take as much as it is necessary. As little as it is necessary for us. This is a yoga. It is very difficult. Tapas it is called. Tapa eva yogaha. Tapaha eva yogaha. Tapa also is a yoga. It is the primary yoga. This is called tapas. And practicing virtues also is called ethical yoga. This is the ethical yoga. For example, speaking truth. It is not easy in these days as you say. It is very difficult to speak truth. And if we speak truth, we have to face problems, so many problems. But come whatever may, happen whatever may, I am going to be honest. If I make this decision, this is tapas. For the sake of truthfulness, for the sake of being honest, I have to undergo suffering. This is called tapas. Harishchandra is there, and he has to, for the sake of truth, just for the sake of truth, not for wealth, not for power, not for fame, but just for the sake of truthfulness, he was ready to face any trouble, any trouble. He was tortured. He sold himself in the slave market. Isn't it? Still, he remained calm, undisturbed. This is called tapas. Means we must be ready to face anything for the sake of virtues. This is called tapas. This determination, that is more important. Determination. And for the sake of determination, we have to face so many suffering. We have to suffer for it. This readiness of the mind to suffer for the sake of the virtues is called tapas. The first is we have to be moderate in whatever we do. And the second is we must be ready to face all kinds of problems and suffering for the sake of the practice of virtues. This is tapas. This is one of the Kriya Yoga, one of the parts of Kriya Yoga. The second is Swadhyaya, and third one is Ishvara Pranidhana, that we shall discuss tomorrow. I am very grateful to all the organizers who have taken so much effort, done so much effort in organizing this satsanga, and to all of you, because in the early morning you have to come so long a distance, isn't it? But it is very, very comfortable atmosphere here. Just for the comfortable atmosphere, for your health at least, you have to come here, sit here calmly and enjoy the nature. This kind of a noiseless atmosphere, it is very difficult to find in cities, you know it. Very difficult. For a week or two, you have to experience the calmness of the nature and attain the calmness of the mind through Kriya Yoga. Namaskar.